Right.
And he's still young enough that he can still participate in a lot of the, young adult offerings.
Sure, absolutely.
And
of course, Ansel was with us not long ago at the Charlie Brindell building.
Yes.
The Coastal Carolinas Association of Realtors highlighting the Veritas Youth. I think VeritasYouth.com. Great website that the church helps support, in addition to MyrtleBeachPresbyterianChurch.org, which has got tons of great information on there, Todd. A lot of really great information. How about what's on schedule for the fall, education-wise, coming up? Is there anything that viewers who may not be members but could possibly help partake in or get interested in the church thanks to the educational pursuits at First Presbyterian Church of Myrtle Beach?
Well, first of all, anything that we offer is always open, to the public. And so membership might kind of suggest otherwise, but, members and the Myrtle Beach community are invited to participate in anything that the church offers.
Right.
We have a great resource that we put together, and this year we took a little different turn to go along with the Worship Plus 2. It used to be the Adult Ed and Fellowship Offerings booklet. We've changed it to call it Adult Opportunities, Worship, Study, Serve. And that is really more indicative of the book's contents. And it outlines, all of these different opportunities. Some of the most exciting things that we're engaged in, we're kind of relaunching a program called the Disciple Program.
Good.
And it's an extensive Bible study that offers, Old Testament, New Testament. It offers an opportunity to engage in Bible study with a small group. And we've challenged our former students that have completed the program to step up and serve as the facilitators of these newly formed small groups. And so that that's one of the things that I'm most excited about.
That's wonderful.
And we'll kick off every week with kind of a large group meeting, and that'll be hosted by either Dr. Wilkes or Reverend Denny. And then, folks will kind of separate into these small groups and talk more specifically about the lesson for the week.
That's tremendous. That's a magnificent program. I actually did that prior to Emma Claire's birth. There was a Bo Stalkup, who had a great men's Bible study on Monday nights that were very well attended.
Yes, he's tough.
And he was very tough, and it was a great crew. I remember seeing a couple of folks, saw somebody at the post office recently who was very active in that, and someone at Barnes & Noble who was very active, wishing that would start back up. So obviously those wishes have been answered. That's wonderful. Hopefully those guys will step back in. And you can line up folks there. Clearly you have a passion for mission work, Todd. You just mentioned mission in the title of the offerings book there. Share with viewers a little about some of the mission experiences available both to members and I think you mentioned non-members of First Presbyterian Church.
That's another aspect of the programs that I'm responsible for that I kind of inherited from Howard Barnard. And, some of the mission experiences that I took on already ran so well. In our annual trek south of the border to Mexico. I still enjoy the leadership of John Slater as well as Bubba Lewis. They always kind of go down there with me for the 2 weeks. Jim and Candy Webb are there as food coordinators and health coordinators, and they just, those folks come alive for those 2 weeks. It's amazing to see them, in that setting and ministering to the families that we're building for, and it's among my favorite, weeks every year.
Absolutely.
We, have gone to New Orleans to continue. The biggest misconception, I think, is that New Orleans is back to normal and everything's great. That's just not the case. Now we are kind of past the deconstruction, which was a little heavy. It was difficult to kind of go down and process and participate in that. But now they're back in kind of the building phase. So they are making progress. And our involvement, our last couple of trips have been more with Habitat for Humanity. And so that is something that, I hope will continue. We're looking at new opportunities and, mentioning young adults, perhaps opportunities that might be more interesting to them. And so Costa Rica is on the slate, being considered. We just finished a program that is more focused on local mission called Beach Castles. And Beach Castles has gone through a transition. Howard started that a number of years ago to recruit groups to come in and build houses, again, for Habitat, for the local chapter. And so the transition that has recently been made is that Habitat has certain restrictions on the folks who volunteer for safety reasons and whatnot. And so the Beach Castles program has evolved to guarantee its continued success, to include local community and building projects for folks who might not otherwise be able to do those things themselves. Home projects, perhaps painting, building, simple building projects. I'm no construction foreman, but and that's something that my son served as the Beach Castles coordinator this summer and did a fantastic job, and he hopes to come back next year. And so we hope that'll be in the works.
That is tremendous. I saw recently on the publication that First Presbyterian Church sends out every week that you had helped author, the Dear Partners in Ministry, right there in the beginning, and highlighting mission work even at home beyond the Beach Castles program. There was a great picture of a 7-year-old Carolyn Woodard there on the front, and highlighting that mission that day, serving 150 folks, was very localized, even more exciting. Share with viewers about that experience, Todd.
First Presbyterian Church has done really a great job in engaging the homeless community here in Myrtle Beach. And, that's because of, we had that day that you mentioned, as you said, 150, homeless folks to come in and have, fried chicken and all that goes along with kind of a Sunday lunch, and more than the meal, they enjoyed fellowship with our church members. Caroline, that you mentioned, her entire family was there, and Todd and Lissa Woodard are still fairly new to the Myrtle Beach community, but they have 5 children, and their whole family, served together in ministry that day. Shep and Kelly Guyton were there. They have 4 children. The whole family was there, and whether it was serving on the food line or refilling drinks, and that was something that their whole family could do together, and that's a neat opportunity. This intergenerational, mission work.
That's tremendous. How can our viewers be involved locally? Are there things they can do? Of course, you highlighted that all the mission trips are open not only to members of the First Presbyterian Church congregation, but to all residents community-wide. Any of our viewers, even in the PD, Southeast North Carolina, can come down and sign up. I remember interviewing Bubba Lewis last summer, and of course, prior to y'all's trip down, there was someone from Carolina Forest area, maybe his boss or his boss's daughter. Somebody was going down on that trip. So clearly, folks that are or not. But what are some other things that viewers? We just have a couple of minutes. We're running out of time. What are some things that viewers can do to be involved?
Well, the church is always glad to be a conduit for these local helping agencies. But as I mentioned, there's a local chapter of Habitat for Humanity, an amazing organization called Helping Hand, Street Reach. And all those you can find contact information for all those through 411 or websites, this sort of thing. But again, you can also call me at the number before, and I'm glad to plug you into those opportunities. But they need help. They need volunteers. They need your time. It's
folks can even make a donation to the church that would be spearheaded to them, or just make a donation to the church that ultimately somehow does get back to them. So oftentimes those dollars are reinvested back into groups like Helping.
And you can designate, absolutely. If you make a donation, you can say, I want this to go towards a specific area of ministry. We're glad to do that.
2 years and 10 days after leaving Carolina Trust Federal Credit Union and the financial industry, Todd, do you think you're out of it for good? You clearly in the last 25 minutes here have shown through that both mission and service and scholarship are important to you. Do you think you'd ever step back into the financial industry?
Not full blown. The credit union industry was very good to me, and I still have the opportunity to get my credit union fix through just consulting opportunities, and those are few and far between now, but it's enough to whet my appetite. So.
Yes, that's great. What does the future hold for Todd Harms?
Gosh, I don't know. Just continue to focus on my family and focus on the opportunities that my job at the church holds. I think the neatest opportunity there at First Presbyterian, I really have come to see myself as more of a volunteer coordinator, realizing that, one person can't do near the work that 1,600 can. And I just throw that number out because that's kind of a rough number of the number of members that we have at the church. And so plugging folks into those opportunities to give back and to participate has been probably a highlight for me.
That's got to be a high. Todd, thanks so much for being with us this morning. I'm sorry we've run out of time.
Enjoyed it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with the Director of Adult Ministries at First Presbyterian Church of Myrtle Beach, Todd Harms, coming up next. Isn't it great to sit here with a guest who's excited and thankful to somebody for giving them an opportunity to work somewhere, thankful to the congregation, thankful to the other staff, thankful to so many folks in the community. It was exciting to hear him fired up about mission work. But it was particularly exciting to hear him fired up about the W+2, worship, plus study, plus service. Think about that opportunity, whether you're a member of another church in our viewing area, whether you're a new member to First Presbyterian Church, or even a founding member. Think about seriously where you can get involved in worship, where you can get involved in study, and think seriously about where you can get involved in service and how you can plug in to all three of those aspects in your life with God, and your life with First Presbyterian Church in Myrtle Beach or whatever church you may be involved. Learn more about the church at 843-448-4496 or go online to myrtlebeachpresbyterianchurch.org. Todd Harms, thanks so much for being with us this morning. You were great.